as I said over the Easter break or spring break at our last town hall, uh, I understand, as does our leadership team at Reedley, that all of our students are facing some unimaginable circumstances right now between uh, sheltering in place at home. Those of you that have children, they're there with you. You're doing, for all intents and purposes, homeschooling with your kids while you're basically battling with the issue of income and jobs and really everything associated with sheltering in place. This is an unusual circumstance where uh, after four weeks or so of basically not going out, it gets to be a different environment for us. We tend to look at life a little bit differently. And I would just offer to you that you need to look to Reedley College as a resource, not just for supporting you through your academic studies, but please be aware of the fact that we have counselors, we have mental health professionals, we have a lot of people you don't normally think of that can help you when you're reaching crisis in other ways than just worrying about a grade in a class. So I want you to think about the Reedley family in a broader sense, because we have people here from many walks of life that can help you no matter what's going on in your life. So please take advantage of that. And you can certainly access those resources through your counselor or through your faculty member. As we were beginning to talk about, as people were coming into the chat room, or pardon me, into the Zoom room, we have partnered with Bitwise out of Fresno to distribute food boxes to the residents of Reedley and surrounding areas. So this week, we're actually doing a pilot where we're distributing our first 50 boxes to people that have signed up for this food distribution. If you haven't heard about it before, this particular project is open to students and their families as well. So we have on our COVID-19 page and also in social media for Reedley College links to the announcement from Bitwise as to how you can sign up for the benefit in the coming weeks. It's not a one-time shot. We're going to be doing this with Bitwise over the next several months, as I understand it. And I also wanted to mention that our food pantry on campus is still operational. We've been getting deliveries from the food bank, and we're looking to deliver those resources to you as students as well. You don't necessarily have to come to the traditional food pantry anymore. What we can do, uh, George Takata are working with Lisa McAndrews and others to basically make sure we are able to package the food in boxes and meet students in the parking lot. And if we'll probably have some kind of sign up process, much like the Bitwise project, so you can come in and we'll check you off the list and put the box of food in the back of your car. So, George, are you online with us?
Yes, I am.
Why don't you tell people a little bit more about the Bitwise project and kind of lead into what we might be doing with our own food pantry?
Okay. The Bitwise project is called Operation Take Care Readley. I'm currently on a team with Eric Valencia from the Chamber, Renee Delport from Kings Canyon Unified, Terry Solis, Vice President of Bitwise, Nick Jones of Redeemer's Church, and Miriam Cardenas of Lifehouse Valley Church, and also Anthony Armour of Neighborhood Industries. Tomorrow at some time, I don't know what time yet, but there will be some food being delivered to the campus. We will use the Forum Hall building and the refrigeration area of our cafeteria to store perishable and non-perishable food items, dairy, meats, produce, pasta, um, things like that. And then the goal is to the food comes assembled already. They're already in boxes. No one has to put them in boxes. That's already taken care of upon delivery. We just have to store it. The church is using volunteer drivers to go around the Reedley, Dinuba, Orange Cove, Parlier, Sanger areas to deliver the food. There is a flyer on our social media pages with a phone number to sign up. And I also on Twitter and Facebook put a link that also has the phone number that you can also sign up through the Bitwise website. It's open for everyone, the entire community, any student, and that's the Bitwise project. When I know an exact day when we're going to deliver the food, I will definitely let everybody know. But to be honest, communication towards me has been a little spotty. It's been kind of frustrating. As for the food pantry, I am going to work with Lisa McAndrews on setting a drive-up delivery service, because we do have a lot of food in the pantry that was delivered Monday, and it's pretty stocked full, and we haven't had a lot of students come. So I need to get the word out on social media, Canvas, and the website that we have a lot of food available for Reedley College students only through the pantry. If you want to come pick it up in your car, and they can drive up, we'll wear masks and gloves, sign up sheet, put the food in the back of the car, so we don't have any contact with anybody, and we'll have people head on out. And I hope to do that sometime next week in collaboration with Lisa and the residence hall people.
Thanks, George. So let me just recap. If you need food, if your family needs food, please take advantage of these two opportunities between the Bitwise food distribution this week and what we'll be doing through the food pantry from this point forward, starting next week, for these drive-by food pickups. So if you know of other students listening in this,
I think we lost him. Dr. Buckley, can you hear us?
I thought it was my computer. It's Dr. Buckley's.
Yeah, same. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna get kicked out.
His signal was dropping. You can see on the far left, it'll show what the kind of bars that he's receiving. So it looks like he's back on now. Maybe I spoke too soon.
He'll be getting back on right now, but students, if there's any other questions you might have, please drop them in the chat so we can have them queued up and ready to go when Dr. Buckley gets right back on. I know this is a difficult time and technology is not always consistent for us, so just please be patient right now.
Even if you want to help me out with the food pantry side of things, once I get a date, I'll let you know. You can help me get the word out at least.
Yeah, definitely. And if you need some students to come and help, I know ASG has been helping at some of the other schools around Fresno City, Clovis. So if you need that, just let us know.
Okay, thank you.
sorry about
Okay,
that.
we got
My
him.
internet basically froze on me, so I'm back.
Awesome.
So as I was saying, we have this resource that I very much hope that all of our students will take advantage of. Please get the word out to other students that both the Bitwise project and our food pantry are available for those that need food resources. I also have some other very important news, and that is that we begun the process to receive federal funding through the CARES project. The CARES initiative is going to provide a couple of $1 million to Reedley College in additional financial aid funding. And we are working through the process as to how to allocate those dollars out to those of you that have qualified for financial aid and for those of you that haven't. So we have been working with our colleagues at Madera to basically work out the distribution methodology. Those of you that have automatic deposit, you'll be getting your money automatically very soon. And by soon, I mean by the end of next week, most likely. I signed documentation late last week to allow the college to receive its federal allocation of these funds. And we want to make sure we get them out to the students just as quickly as possible, because we know, just like food, you can use probably every dollar we can provide you. So I can't give you an exact number, because what we're going to try to do is allocate funding to students based upon need. Those of you in the greatest financial need will get a larger share of what's available. So we are working to get that money out to you as quickly as possible. And I want to emphasize something that's very important that's directly associated to this financial resource. Staying in your courses right now is critically important. Not just the issue of finishing your classes to get a grade, but for example, this CARES funding is only available to those of you that are currently enrolled at Reedley College. So even though you may be facing challenges at home, there's a reason to stay enrolled in your classes. Maybe not all of them, but certainly you should speak with your counselors, speak with your faculty, make the best possible choice for each individual student. But the point is, when you stay in the classes, you're able to access all the resources provide you in the way of our food pantry services, counseling, financial aid counseling, and in this case, a fiscal or financial resource that we can provide you because you are still a Reedley College student. So even though you have the opportunity right now to take advantage of what's called an emergency withdrawal, we would prefer that you didn't do that unless you absolutely need to. If you have to, then talk about it with those that can basically properly advise you of any unintended consequences by your withdrawing from a class. So just to recap again on that again, by staying in courses and staying engaged with your faculty and with your counselors, you can help you make the best possible decision for you in these difficult times. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about commencement. We received the final data from our survey from the past couple of weeks, reaching out to both you and to faculty that were going to participate in commencement this spring. And the recommendation that's come back from our commencement committee who reviewed the data from that survey are twofold. One is that we are proposing hosting a face-to-face graduation for you in December of this year. We're also proposing, for those of you that can't be here to participate in such a face-to-face ceremony, we will have a recognition online for those that wish to participate during May. And just to go back to the commencement face-to-face concept, we are proposing having that ceremony on a Saturday using the gym and issuing a limited number of tickets, but live streaming the event to a couple of other locations on campus and also to cell phones or media devices. So anyone can participate with you, but it may be at a distance. So those are the ideas that we're working with right now, the recommendations that I've received. I know that George Takata, who you've just heard from, is working with our graphics department to put together some templates for photographs that can be this year, and we'll be posting those pictures to our website with special recognition for the virtual ceremony that'll precede the face-to-face. So with that, I'll open the town hall up for questions, and let's take them one at a time. Stephen?
Perfect, Dr. Buckley, thank you. So first off was our student department awards. I know we have Tiger Awards every year and different departmental awards. Are those, or what are our plans for those right now? Are they being postponed? Are they still going on as planned? Is it a Zoom? Can you enlighten us a little bit?
Well, anything that was planned face-to-face is unfortunately being forced into a virtual environment. So whatever you've been used to having face-to-face setting will definitely be online at this point. I'm not familiar totally with the department awards. Earlier today, we were talking about how the campus recognizes what we call service awards for employees that have been here 5, 10, 15, and years beyond that. So we're going to be doing that online initially, but I also mentioned that I intend to have an awards dinner later in the year once we can return to face-to-face service. So hopefully the department awards will be managed in much the same way.
Okay, yeah, this student was specifically asking like the Ag and Natural Resources, they have the ABC Ag and Natural Resources Awards, and they didn't know if there was any light that could be shed on that.
I don't have a specific answer for that. Is someone out there with me that can address it?
Well, I can jump in and only say that this is Dale Van Dam, VPI. Only say that there are a number of departments that have specialized awards and recognitions around graduation time. At this moment, I've not heard of alternative plans, but it's something to begin thinking about. And thanks for bringing that to our attention. We'll need to reach out to many departments to see how they plan to do their recognitions this spring.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Next is a question on athletics. How are athletics going to be impacted by COVID-19? Are we still looking at having athletics in the fall? Is there going to be football? Is there not? How how are our student athletes going to be impacted?
Excellent question, and I'm afraid it's going to be an answer you're going to hear a lot of tonight, most likely, and that is I really don't know yet, because a lot of those particular decisions are going to be upon what happens with the spread of the virus, and frankly, some associated requirements. If you've been listening to the news, a lot of discussion the past few days about the fact that we need to have more testing for the virus. We need to have a standardized what's called antibody test to demonstrate those of us that have already had the COVID coronavirus infection and basically are able to then safely get together socially. There's a lot of things that we're going to see that will basically change the way we conduct business throughout the summer and into the fall. We may be forced to still practice social distancing even in the fall, which will definitely impact our ability to have athletic competitions. So it may well be that we may have to forego fall sports again, and we may actually see athletics kick in spring. I don't have a definite answer to that yet, though. I'm just looking at where we are today right now with our statistical reporting of infection rates within the county and what we're hearing from our various public county Department of Health officials. So I'll be happy to update you as things go forward. What I've told our faculty and staff is that we really need to be thinking in terms of contingency plans. And by that, I mean, we'll have alternate plans available as conditions change. If it turns out we can launch, if we can safely launch athletics in the fall, we'll do so. If we can't do it until spring, then that's just the way it'll have to work out. But we'll basically go along with probably what you see happening with regard to professional sports and other colleges and universities.
Have we gotten any word on how this might affect their eligibility to play?
Yeah, we've been having some preliminary conversations about eligibility, and I think the best I can offer, and I'll ask others to step in just a minute. Athletes or student athletes are going to have to maintain their standing. And by that, I mean, we know that athletes have to maintain 12 units per semester. Basically in their respective sports. So that's not going to change. Whether or not this particular spring is going to count towards their eligibility is something else. We know most spring sports, they're being given an additional year of eligibility. Dale, would you like to step in, and do we know if David's on the line?
I'm on the line.
David, you want to address this then?
Yeah, sure. So only the spring sport athletes, which is softball, baseball, men's and women's tennis, and men's golf, will have their years of eligibility reinstated. All the remaining student athletes will continue to be required to meet all the eligibility, academic eligibility standards. There's a few little caveats that we're not sure. The executive board of the 3C2A is meeting on Friday, so they will be able to, address certain items that are a little bit more complicated, like a second year baseball student athlete, for example, that wants to come back to Reedley next year. How will we deal with those academic requirements? So some of those answers are forthcoming. For now, the hope is that we will be back in fall. We'll plan accordingly. Nothing changes in terms of academics, and we will probably have some different things that we'll be needing to do with, with taking temperatures, et cetera, still being as clean as possible as we can in terms of hygiene. And, we have a new reality in the future.
Yeah, thanks, David. You reminded me to address the issue of safety. As I prior
Oh, I think we lost him again.
I think so.
Hey, I'll just jump in and say that we're in constant communication with the governing body of our sports. David Santisteban mentioned it, 3C2A, and their guidelines apply to all community colleges and in all sports except some specialized ones like equestrian. So I guess what I'm saying is all of our colleges abiding by the same set of rules. And so there's no advantage to say, well, maybe I'll go to Fresno City, or maybe I'll go to College of the Sequoias. We're all governed by the same set of rules. So there isn't really any advantage to looking somewhere else or going somewhere else. And as soon as we get more information on whether there's going to be delays to the season or whatever, we'll of course pass those on to all athletes and all students that are interested in athletics.
Hey, David, quick question.
Yep.
If we don't have fall sports, will they get you think they'll get their eligibility back like the spring sports student athletes did?
I think without a doubt, if anything, any student athlete for any association, whether NCAA, NAIA, if they're already doing it now, why wouldn't they do it in the fall? That would continue. Obviously, this is a rare situation that the whole nation is dealing with. The most important thing is safety, and we've got to move forward with that, and follow those those issues. So, yeah, I think they would get their year back.
All right. Thanks, David. Sorry about my
That's fine.
causing a problem again. Just wanted to reiterate that, we want to create the safest environment possible for students.
The one thing I want to say, if anybody's online, a student athlete, please stay in contact with your teachers, stay in contact with your academic counselor, Javier Renteria, as well as Billy Wright. Please continue to stay plugged in. Academic requirements are staying in place, so don't let things slip.
So be prepared for environment. If you come back face to face in the fall, we will basically continue to offer things such as temperature monitoring and really a kind of a health questionnaire for each student every day to answer, to make sure that we're maintaining a safe environment for everyone. So, Stephen, next question.
Yeah, so these next two questions are ones that we've touched on every single time, but just to reiterate, summer and fall classes, what are they looking like? And then parking passes, are they still going to be prorated? Is there any way that fall might be relaxed parking as well? I know that we're doing that for this semester and probably for the summer semester. Could you shed some light?
Well, summer is currently scheduled exclusively online per the request of our state chancellor's office. If conditions change, as I was mentioning earlier, we're going to have contingency plans in place to bring back face-to-face classes gradually, meaning we'd probably start with skill-based classes in our career and tech ed area, but can't really address parking until we know when we're coming back. At this point, we're hoping that fall will be face-to-face, but we're also, again, providing contingency planning in case the virus spread comes back later in the year and we have to basically close down yet again. So I can't quite answer the parking permit issue just yet, because we don't really know when we're going to be on campus and under what conditions, but I will keep you apprised as more information becomes available.
Awesome, thank you. How about flight science? What do we see with flight science program? How is that going to continue? I know they have a lot of in-person hours.
Right, so as of this week, I had given permission at the end of March for us to relaunch what I call essential programs. And these essential programs are listed by either the federal and or state governments. So we were able to relaunch wildland firefighting, because that falls under the category of public safety. So those classes are actually back in session. We launched flight science so that our students that are trying to finish their pilots training with their 1,500 hours of flying time, they're now back working at Fresno Yosemite Airport and working to complete their flight logs. And then also this week we relaunched aviation maintenance, because the FAA does not allow us to do any of that coursework online. It has to, the laboratory classes have to be done face to face. So we took special precautions. We took the existing labs and reduced them to 10 students only. We actually took a 20 student section and cut it in half to create 10 student sections. And we're practicing social distancing and other safety precautions to make sure that our students have a safe working environment while they practice their laboratory skills.
Awesome. Now, in regards to when we do come back, what is our timetable for return? I mean, we're not going to just come back and like all classes are going to be administered, right? What would that look like? Or there's only certain ones that would start off and then gradually go forward?
So it's an excellent question, but none of us have an absolute answer to the question yet. For example, what might happen? We might indeed maintain our lecture classes online and bring skill classes back, like laboratory type classes, onto campus to reduce the number of students on campus to provide more social distancing. That's one scenario. If we, by some good fortune, actually have a vaccine and have adequate testing and all the other variables in place, we could come back full strength with all classes on campus, but I don't really see that happening. In fact, some estimates on CNN are basically saying, worst case, we might not be coming back to campus until 2022. Think about that for a minute. Think of the implications. So somewhere in between those two extremes are probably where we'll be. But as to when and how, we don't have the answers yet.
Awesome. Could you, going on, speak a little bit more about the EW? What are some negative effects of receiving an EW? We have a student that said they called the financial aid office. It said that it wouldn't affect them, but what are some of the side effects, I guess, of getting an EW?
Well, if nothing else, by withdrawing from a class, it's certainly going to increase the time to completion. That's one thing I think people would think about naturally. But if you haven't, if you're dropping a class, unless you have an excess of units somewhere else in that same discipline area, you're going to basically be here an extra semester just to make up for those lost classes. Probably the worst case scenario is that you might drop a class and somehow it might influence your requirement to start repaying your financial aid if you have a loan, for example. So that's the time where you really have to speak with a counselor, in particular a financial aid counselor, to make certain that your actions don't inadvertently cause you to take on another financial responsibility that you either can't or don't want to address at this time.
Thank you. Now, you had spoke earlier about the CARES funding and the couple million that we might be receiving. For a student that is eligible to receive that funding through the CARES Act, will that be shown on their web advisor? How will they know that they're going to have that funding coming to them?
That's a good question.
Just showing up.
That's a really good question. We just haven't quite got all the details answered yet. We are meeting again towards the end of the week to get to some of those details. We're still trying to work on the formula for distribution of the funding, and then we'll get to the point of how we announce that to take place. Renee, are you online with me? Or Chris Cortez? Okay, I don't know that everybody's available to be here this evening, so I'll simply say that we will certainly provide notification. I know about 53% of students actually already have automatic deposit. And as you just alluded to, so the money may just show up in the account. We don't want that to happen. We'd rather you know in advance what you're getting and why you're getting it. So that announcement will come out most likely by district email is my guess. Possibly other mechanisms, but the most common way we have of communicating with students is over district email.
Awesome, thank you. We've exhausted all of our questions in the chat, so students, if there are any other questions, please drop them in the chat at this time. Yeah, we had, oh, sorry, go for it.
One of the questions too was if there was going to be an application required for the CARES funding, and at this time there is no application. We will not be requiring an application for students to fill out. It's just all students that are enrolled. And I'll work with Dr. Buckley and Chris Cortez and Renee Craig Marius to make sure that we get a message out to students about the funding, when they can expect the funding. We're hoping the feds release it as soon as possible. We're in a waiting pattern right now. The state is pushing them to release it, so hopefully we'll have it released by Friday so we can start issuing payments.
Thank you, Melanie. Do we have any other questions at this time? Well, the question we usually always end with, Dr. Buckley, is this going to be happening again anytime soon?
Yeah, I think actually what I'd like to do is put together an extended calendar so we know maybe not every week, maybe every other week through the end of the semester, we can basically make sure we are communicating effectively out to students in every way we can. Just so that you know, I tried to work with the district over the past month so that we're using text messaging. You should have all gotten a text message from the district over the past 2 weeks. You sure should have gotten more than one district email on various topics, including the EW and the pass, no pass option for grading. So as we get more information, we'll generally use email to communicate it out, but I'd like to set a calendar for these town halls, and I'd love some suggestions from students as to what the best times are. I've been trying to alternate between morning and evening so we get the best distribution of access, but if that's not working for you, let me know. We can certainly alternate the days and alternate the times in a different way. I wanted to thank everybody for their patience and just hanging in there with us through this difficult time.
We have 2 more quick questions, Dr. Buckley, before we end this. The meetings are being recorded. How can students access those meetings or the meetings that we have?
George can review it in a minute, but as far as I know, we're actually posting these to the COVID website. George, can you confirm that, please?
Yes, sorry, I stepped out for a minute. What was that again?
The transcripts and recordings from the town halls, are we posting those to the COVID website directly?
Yes, we are. In fact, this is now streaming live on YouTube, and we will have it available on our Reedley College YouTube page as well if you want to go back and watch/listen to it.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, George, could you also put possibly like a link on the Facebook? I know some people that's all they see is the social media aspect, and just have a link to get it out to the students and to the community at large.
Great suggestion.
As soon as we stop the recording, take some time to render, if you will, load. And then when it's done, I'll get the link up and post it all to the social media channels and also put it on the COVID page of the website.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
A copy of the chat, the group chat, and as well as notes that are typed are also put on the website. So in case you can't see the video.
Awesome. Thank you.
Stephen, there was
chat-
one more question regarding the CARES funding.
Yeah, I was going to ask that one right now.
So at this time, all CARES fund, we are going to, all students enrolled, regardless of financial aid eligibility, are going to be eligible for CARES funding.
At some level.
At some level, yes.
To go back and review what I said earlier, we've been looking at trying to allocate the resource so that those with the greatest financial need get the most funding, but everyone should receive something from this.
And now if they don't have like an account on file, is it just going to get to their address or their home address that's on file with the school?
Correct.
Awesome.
Yeah, so check your addresses.
And the question again was just how do they find out if they do qualify? And the answer is they all should qualify at some level, right?
That's right. Automatically, just by being, I come back to the same thing. If you've stayed enrolled in your classes this spring, you qualify. Don't drop
Awesome.
all your classes. That's the message.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Dr. Buckley, that looks like all of our questions for the night. Maybe
right.
open it up to anybody that might have one that wasn't able to put it in the chat. Give them a couple seconds. If not, like I said, thank you so much. This definitely helps keep students informed. And I've been seeing that every time that we've held one of these town halls, we have a roughly the same amount, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, but it's always different students. And that's great. So we are effectively reaching more and more students. And do we have any idea when the next meeting might be? You said possibly 2 weeks, maybe next week.
Well, give me a suggestion. What do you think? I'm able to schedule these whenever you would like.
I know the last two we've held in the evening, so I think we should go back to a morning time because I think
Okay.
we held them mid-afternoon and evening. I don't know if we held one like crack of dawn, 8, 9 o'clock. There might be some students that still have essential jobs that they have to go to, maybe serve lunch or dinner at a restaurant for to-go orders. So they might be able to still log on early in the morning, or they might be
Right.
doing their schoolwork early in the morning to get it done and out of the way. They might be able to tune in then. So I would say try an early morning one. Someone just said evenings are great because in the mornings most students are tutoring and attending classes. So I mean,
The spread's important then. Yeah.
yeah.
So I'll tell you what, I'll put together a calendar and I'll run it by you and the rest of the ASG and see if you have any suggestions to either edit, change it, leave it as is, and then we'll post it.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We got some students that are saying they do prefer next week though. Just another one. Just
That's fine.
especially with the CARES funding going out, I think there's going to be a lot more questions about that.
Good.
So, all right.
We'll make it
That
happen.
looks like- yeah, that looks like all the questions that we have for you today, Dr. Buckley. Thank you again on behalf of students for keeping us informed and keeping us in the loop. We definitely appreciate that.
Thank you for the opportunity. See you soon.
Sounds good.
Bye.